Hey, welcome everybody to the Garage Pod Fast and Furious style. We got to do it fast and furious just to meet timelines. So this week or this time we're going over upcoming. Yeah, we're gonna hit the upcoming, see who's playing who and what's going on. So I'm gonna jump in this real quick. My first game I'm looking at is East Coast Lanterns and East Coast Meat Puppets.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was actually looking ahead both John and Bernie and Brandon all in the first 3 weeks, but East Coast Lanterns don't really want to play them right now. They're
No.
arguably one of the strongest teams.
and I'm gonna jump into that right now with Cam Newton. Right now as it stands. He's starting Cam Newton versus your Matt Ryan.
Yeah, he's stellar. I mean, week one, yeah, I'll give him that against Arizona. Yeah, you buying into it, 400 yards, but he did it again in week two, so
Could the trend continue? That's the
oh,
worry.
he's got Megatron. I mean, he's got
No,
you know,
he doesn't
he's-
have Megatron.
no,
Bernie's
sorry,
got
excuse me, I
Johnson &
apologize.
Johnson.
Yeah, that's right. I apologize.
She's got the shampoo.
Yeah, no, but he's I can't discount what he's been doing.
Now Matt Ryan looked good in week two with the throws and the passes that he had, but most of it
Playing
relied
catch up.
on fourth quarter run game, and they kept up.
Yeah.
So
And they shut down in their corner. They shut down Roddy White and they shut down Julio Jones. He tried going to him, but didn't actually
couldn't connect him. The other thing I want to look at is you got Adrian Peterson, arguably the best running back in the league right now with the way things go, and you're starting Ben Tate with Houston with Arian Foster being out. You handcuffed him.
I did.
Now looking at the numbers, Adrian Peterson and Ben Tate are probably fighting for top pick as it stands.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ben Tate is a stopgate right now. They're going to give Arian Foster, if he can play enough carries, just to screw up every fantasy player. So if you have both of them, if you're handcuffing one of them, it's a tough call because like last week they said Arian Foster would start. I started him, put Ben Tate on the bench. Ben Tate got 18 points. Arian Foster got 4.
Yeah.
So I mean that's basically what you're looking at. And I think from here moving forward that the head coach is basically going to do a running back by committee to ensure that both of them are healthy.
The way I see it with Ben Tate,
because they're a playoff
until
team.
Arian Foster is 100%, Ben Tate is your starter because Arian Foster is only going to have a limited carry, and you're looking at least the next 2 to 3 weeks with Arian Foster.
I think even if they say if they give him another week, even if they say he's healthy, it's still going to be a running back by committee far more than anyone anticipated by drafting him.
Well, it's the same sense with the way Ben Tate's been running. They may actually start splitting carries with him and Arian Foster.
Without a doubt.
So
want to keep
that drops your value on Arian Foster.
Oh, and, hugely. And he's their number one pick, and they'll drop him down. And I think they're going to start both running backs throughout the entire season to ensure that because they have a viable shot. It's not like one of those teams that just like they're going through the motions.
Right.
They get a viable shot at the playoffs, so they're going to ensure that they keep him healthy by basically splitting carries. So as opposed to it being 70-30 or 80-20, it's going to basically be like a 50-50 or even maybe a 40, say like a 35-35, and then even the third
string coming. Yeah. All right. The other thing I want to look at with you guys is Kenny Britt versus Dexter McAllister. They're both about the same rank, but it looks like Kenny Britt is actually coming up.
He's on fire right now.
Yeah,
he's on fire, and normally I actually had him from last year. I was going to hold him over in the 8th round or 9th round, get some value for him, but he had some issues. I foregone that pick, but he's actually stepped up in the first 2 weeks. He has been a stud, and I think he's going to move forward being that player. Now, granted, he still has those issues, but I think he's definitely going to be a stud. And versus who? I'm sorry.
Dexter McAllister. You're starting. Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Dexter McAllister is in CBS Sports Line, depends on which, with the CBS Sports Line or ESPN or whoever you play with. CBS Sports Line ranks him as a wide receiver. He is being run out of the backfield as a running back with Jamal Charles down. So with Jamal Charles down, now you're looking at Thomas Jones as the carry, your first down carry back. He's going to push the chains, but in a pseudo PPR league, which is what we run, half point per reception, I think Destin McCluster has more of an upside, and that's why I chose him.
That's good shit. All right, got a couple other notes, but they're not as important. So we're going to move on. We're going to hit the Burn versus the Two Pump Chumps this week.
Wow.
You got two Super Bowl quarterbacks playing different teams now, going against each other, Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. And we saw a glimpse of what they can do against each other in the third preseason game.
Yeah, but it's preseason.
But at the same sense, Aaron Rodgers is playing. Oh man, I didn't write it down. I should have wrote it down. But Aaron Rodgers has got a weaker defense, the same as Drew Brees. Do you see them putting up the same kind of numbers, like basically nulling each other out in this week's matchups?
If you want to go defense to defense, I'll take Green Bay over Saints defense. Saints do have maybe a big play defense. They can actually, if they get pick six or something like that happens. Okay. But I think Green Bay has more control of the game. I think Aaron Rodgers already went up against Pittsburgh. Green Bay's defense manhandled Pittsburgh. Now, granted, it's Ben Roethlisberger. I'll die through a windshield for you and your date. But I think Aaron Rodgers has more control of the game. I think he's got more weapons that are still fully healthy. I think Drew Brees, although he is going to be a gunslinger, and he's got, even with losing 2 or 3 of his starting wide receivers, he still has a plethora of people.
Plenty of weapons to get the ball off to.
But I think if I have to give one side to the other, I say Green Bay's defense slightly better than Saints, and that's just my personal opinion. Are they playing at who's playing at home?
I didn't write it down, so I couldn't tell you.
If you're going into Lambeau Field,
you're looking at trouble.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on with that, we're gonna stick with Burn and Two Pump. Burn starting Ahmad Bradshaw over Darren Sproles, which, watching New York play the last couple of weeks, Ahmad Bradshaw hadn't really been a big part of the game. He still puts up decent points. He gets in the end zone. But Darren Sproles is breaking it off on teams.
He is.
He's making the runs, long runs, 20, 30, 40-yard runs for a touchdown. And that's not on the special teams. That's actual offensive line.
I don't want to call him a super sleeper pick, but for where he was drafted, he has definitely stepped up and produced at expectations plus some. Ahmad Bradshaw is in a situation right now who never been a big fan of Eli Manning. Be a Pat, so we'll forego all that another time. But you've got Hakeem Nicks with an injury.
TDs.
You've got some certain situations in there where I think he actually steps up and can play, but we're looking at Ahmad Bradshaw versus, sorry, give me the other one again.
Darren Sproles. It's a hard choice to make. They're both valued at
I put Darren Sproles here. I put Ahmad Bradshaw here, but Darren Sproles is producing here, and Ahmad Bradshaw in this just last game is produced here. So it all depends on.
It kind of balances out.
Who is New York playing this week?
I want to say they have San Fran this week.
Who has not done bad in
the run defense. Yeah, I mean, the other part of that is you've got Two Pump Chumps. We're going to go on running back again. Who has LeGarrette Blount and Jamal Charles, who now lost Jamal Charles, so he's down to LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount, I think it was an excellent pick in his draft. I
do believe his matchup this week actually favors LeGarrette too. So I
think LeGarrette was an excellent pick in the draft. I think he produces. But the thing is, like you said, your number one pick goes out, so now you're scrambling a bit.
Yeah.
And I know that
I got some trades to talk to.
Brand's looking. He's got a sizable quarterback on his bench that he's stockpiling points for, and I think he's going to move trying to move him into a position with some of the lower teams that aren't actually executing and think they can like jump in there and get that player available.
And you've lost Dez this week too, Pump. So,
well, here's the thing with Dez.
Well, he's like game time decision.
He's a game time decision, but you
so
also
do you play him in the lineup and wait for them to decide whether or not to play him, or do you keep him benched? And if he does play, hope he doesn't point the way you expect him to.
My bigger concern would be to see what happens with your boy,
Romo.
Tony Romo.
I don't see
because you've got Miles Austin, who they've already kind of chalked up to the fact that they may let him go for the next 2 weeks and skip the bye and come back in week 5. Which, if that's the case, Dez Bryant, borderline hurt, but not to the point where Miles Austin is. He comes back in, executes. He becomes the number 1 wide receiver still. They utilize Jason Witten, and if Tony Romo's not in there, I don't think the backup can stretch the field with Dez Bryant. He becomes more a distraction.
Well, at the same sense, John Kitna is the one that basically put Bryant on the map last season with Romo out. It went from the Austin Romo show to the Kitna Bryant show. And
true, but I believe a lot of that is the fact that no one gave Kitna any props, or they didn't give him any. They didn't respect the fact that he could actually make it down.
Yeah, he's a
now they caught him off guard, but if they actually respect that and actually put someone on and adjust for that, I don't see Kitna being able to do that. I see him going to. Now you also have Felix Jones too, so he may have no choice but to go to Jason Witten if they
still got Witten fresh.
Yeah, but the thing is, if they basically shut down Witten, then you may have an option on Dez Bryant. So,
all right, so we're gonna move on. We got the TDs versus DK. You're my girl and your boy. So it's another household battle.
That's it.
Come down to it. Trudy's basically relying on Big Ben, and I do believe they're playing.
I want to rely on.
Well, the matchup states that he should favor well, but the matchups also stated with Baltimore in week 1 that he should have done well, and he did 7 points. So I mean, now you also got
right now. And who's Pittsburgh playing?
I do believe they have. I want to say St. Louis this week. That doesn't sound right. St. Louis or the Seahawks? I can't remember.
Okay. You've got Devin is scrambling right now between 2 separate quarterbacks, whether it be
Joe Flacco or Josh
Freeman. He did well. I mean, he's got two quarterbacks who's doing quarterback by committee, and I get that. And I agree with why you picked him. It was a good call. Freeman's the better quarterback right now. He seems a little more consistent. Flacco, depending upon the defense he's going up against. If it's a more hardcore defense, he didn't produce this last week. I think
against
Freeman
the Titans, which is concerning.
Who also took out the Ravens.
Yeah.
So, I think that he goes Josh Freeman based on the matchup, through the wide receiver healthy, and so on and so forth. I don't know. I'm looking at TDs at having a bench her the number 1 overall pick, and I'm looking at even if she puts him back in the mix in hopes that they have a good matchup. Where's your other strengths?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing I want to look at. She's got the 2 tight end start, Dallas Clark and Owen Daniels, which she seems to be running with. She did it last week. She did it the week before, and they actually put up decent points. I think from what I've seen, she has more issues at quarterback and wide receiver than she does at running back and tight end. So adjusting for running back, she can handle. But tight end wise, do you start one and then bring in a handcuff for a running back?
I don't discount running 2 tight ends. Kevin, when he drafted both Pat's tight ends, everyone kind of like goofed on him, and he picked up Tony Gonzalez after the fact. Both of them blew up first 2 weeks. Now we have the issues with the Pats and Aaron Hernandez. So all of a sudden, he becomes an elite tight end, maybe up to the level of Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
Especially the way Brady's producing. But to run 2 tight ends, you're having to eliminate one of those wide receivers or that flex position, and she basically is pulling her number 1 running back in Chris Johnson off the bench. Who is her other running back that she's going to start?
something I have to look into. I didn't even think to look into that.
Because basically, if she's going to run a 2 tight end set, she needs to have a security. Because basically, you're eliminating one of those wide receivers or one of those running backs. And she's counting on, if she eliminates one of those running backs, she's counting on Chris Johnson as that key person that's going to put her up 30 points, because those 2 tight ends, arguably, if you're getting double digits out of tight end, you're doing good. But if you're putting both of them in there, you have to basically ensure that they're going to get double digits, because you're foregoing that other running back or that other wide receiver.
Right. All right, moving on. We're going to hit Gnomes and Gordo. We got the only thing I really see, well, there's 2 things, but the key thing, player versus player, I'm seeing Brady and Rivers, which we've already seen those 2 go head-to-head, and they shoot it out. So Rivers has actually probably one of the softer games this week than Brady, I think. I do believe they have Kansas City this week, who put up 3 points against the Ravens.
Well, here's the thing. Kansas City right now is a nightmare. You've got Matt Castle, who's just, you really can't get it done. You got Dwayne Bowe, who finished off last year as arguably one of the top 15 wide receivers. But you had that with a backup of Jamal Charles and other players that are involved. So you eliminate that, you don't have to stack the box. You adjust for the wide receivers. Castle becomes obsolete. Dwayne Bowe becomes a non-factor.
So Rivers' throwing game is pretty much out the door. They can rely, if they're going to stack the box on the wide receivers.
Castle for Kansas City. So if you're going Rivers against
Kansas D.
Do
you see him stacking the box against his throwing game, or do you see him stacking it against the run game?
I don't think they have to adjust for the pass game. I think they keep a couple of people in the box because they're gonna, even without Jamal Charles, they still have a running back by committee in there. They've got a running back / wide receiver and Dexter McCluster.
What gets you drunker quicker? What comes in bottles or in cans? Can't get enough of it. How we really love it. Makes me think I'm a man. I could kiss and hug it, but I'd rather chuck it. Got my belly out to here. I could not refuse.
But I don't think they can stretch their field with Dwayne Bowe. They don't really have the secondary, and Max Castle's really not that much of a factor. So, I think they
as it stands, Brady's a machine. So, do you see the quarterbacks knowing each other out and relying on the rest of the fantasy team to put up the points? Or
I think even with losing, and Brady's definitely relied on the fact that he's got 2 elite tight ends that can have offset and basically have mismatches in the secondary. And he's been a machine in that aspect. Not granted, they're giving up mad points in both run and pass defense. They've done it to Miami. They've done it again to San Diego. But they're going to put up 40 points. Now, that being the case, does Kansas City, if that's who they're playing on?
I'm not sure. I should have put the matchups down.
But if that's who they're playing, they would have to play from coming from behind, because the Pats are going to put the points on the board. Their offense will execute even without Aaron Hernandez. I believe I see Ocho Cinco stepping up and getting a little bit more love.
And on that note, with Aaron Hernandez down, the Gnomes stepped out and I dropped Ocho Cinco to pick up some extra depth at running back and at wide receiver. I dropped another player. The Gnomes picked up Ocho Cinco off of him. So do you see it as a viable start, maybe as a flex, or keep him on the bench and just see how it goes this week?
I think it's more of, and I have to actually look at her lineup. I think she's got a pretty well-balanced offensive attack with her.
LaShawn McCoy,
Mike Turner. She's got
Brady.
She's got
Santonio Holmes.
She's got some players in there.
Yeah,
I don't think
she's looking like a juggernaut as it stands. She's leading the league with 311 points in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, Brady right now is a freak. I don't think that you actually have to put Ocho Cinco in the mix, but I think that his stock moves up a bit. I don't think it's going to all of a sudden blow up and he offs. I actually, if I was to make a board bet, I would still say Deion Branch gets more offensive yards and points than Ocho Cinco, but without Aaron Hernandez, I think that definitely increases his looks.
All right. Well, moving on, we're going to hit the Annihilators and Total Chaos, which is not doing well. She's got Kevin Klobb and
You're in a must-win situation.
I am,
You
without a
really
doubt.
are. I think I need you to pull out a win here.
Well, the thing I see with it is last week I started Anquan Bolden over Nate, or not Nate Burleson. Yeah, Nate Burleson. I started him over it. He was a better pick. He had a better matchup, and Tennessee.
Well,
crushed me.
you're also doing that based on what Flacco did in week 1.
True.
Because
This week, because I'm benching Romo again. I'm gonna start Matt Stafford. He's got a better matchup. He's good for the points. You know, you're looking at least 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Right now, Stafford is on fire. You have to go with your hockey hand.
Yeah. And with
And
Romo having
Romo
a punctured lung and a fractured rib,
And
most of his weapons
Miles
down.
Austin's out. Felix Jones is out. Des Bryant's questionable. I mean,
I might as well start Matt Stafford. Anquan Bolden is not looking good. He hasn't found the end zone. He hasn't broke, I think, 60 yards in 2 weeks. Nate Burleson is staying in the 70-80 range. He's at least found the end zone one time.
And he was one of those boys that, you know, in the years past, has always been on that cusp of the waiver wire where, like, well, he puts up enough points to possibly pick him up as a flex or on your bench or something.
Yeah.
But this year, he's actually a viable threat.
Yeah. The other thing is with Chaos. Let's keep going on this.
Hey, yep.
Week-to-week defense picks. Do you think it's a good idea or?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, everyone, you address the defensive kickers. Everyone says, okay, well, get them all last. Some people will jump for certain players, and you know, in Gordo, it worked. You pick the Jets, and they're executing, and certain stuff with the Eagles works out. But I think more often than not, you have to basically pick your defense via the matchup.
Yeah.
And you pick your kicker via a team that's going to get them in the red zone enough to where they have a viable shot at it. So that being said, you can never account for a pick six or
5 sacks.
San Francisco went undrafted and blew up in week 1. I mean, you've got Pittsburgh, who's supposed to be a juggernaut, and all of a sudden they get crushed by Baltimore. So I mean, it's never
Baltimore, who was defeating the Steelers all around. And
it's never a clear-cut thing, but I mean, you want to definitely pick your defense. Home field advantage. You've got West Coast going to East Coast, East going to West Coast. Those all other stuff factoring in. Injuries factoring in versus your defense playing against somebody that maybe, shoot, I picked up, not for nothing, love you, John. I picked up Browns last week just to play against Indianapolis because their
offense is looking horrible. I mean, it seems like without Manning, they can't play.
And right now, I'd literally pick up a defense going up against Kansas City because you've got Matt Castle and you've got your Madison.
Jamal Charles. You're missing Jamal Charles.
With players falling off the board left and right, you're looking at the weaknesses and you're looking at defenses that can capitalize on those weaknesses.
All right, so we're going to move into brother versus brother. John and
the Olsen
twins are playing each other. John and Mike, Road Rash versus the Barflies. Both of them are looking at injured quarterbacks. John, who's not playing, Peyton Manning, and Vic, who is questionable to start because of the neck injury.
He'll play.
I'm sure he'll play, but
I see Vic. I
don't see him doing the game that he was. I don't see him running like he normally does. I don't see him getting
run like he did in the first place. But that was another.
What's bad is that the injury came without a run. The injury came with him sticking to his pocket, trying to dump the play off, and somebody coming around the corner catching him from behind.
Good call on the. But no, that's right. They actually the coaches were like, "Hey, we want to keep you in the pocket. We want to keep you safe." And in doing so, he got some freak play, got smashed in the mouth.
The dirty bird got smashed.
Yeah, the spitting blood. Okay, it was a bit tongue, no big deal.
Yeah, they went overboard on the replays with that.
Yeah, what they need to be concerned about is the fact that the neck injury. Here's the thing. We all knew going into it that Michael Vick, arguably a number 1 pick, number first-round pick. Is he a huge liability? Absolutely. Does he run and subject himself body wise
Completely.
to get taken out? Of course. And with this season, the way players are dropping off left and right, yeah. Do I see him making it through week 10? No.
All right,
No, and I'll put that on the board bet. But do I see him starting next week? I see them patching him up, give him a shot, do whatever they got to do.
Pump him
He
up,
comes
wrap him
in
up,
there.
send him out.
I see him playing. And Eagles are playing who next week?
I don't have it written. I'm gonna have to do better notes next time. Hey, I was going through just matchups. I was just going through matchups. That was my thing. But the other thing
question
I'm
you
gonna
initially was asking me, was
Sanchez versus Vic.
Sanchez versus Vic. I got to know who they're playing against. Sanchez, normally I would say he's not. Not nightmare. Excuse me. I don't want to play him just because they were always essentially a run-first team. They've got some wide receiver.
They're also
players
passing on the backfield this year.
They've got Plaxico Burress, who's actually stepping up. I mean, he was the X factor. You didn't know what you were going to get, but he's actually producing. You've got other players. You've got a defense that's going to allow the offense to get on the field and make plays. You've got Sean Green and LaDainian Tomlinson who they have to respect the run to some extent to open up that. And not for nothing. I mean, Sean Green Sanchez has put up 300-yard games, and I mean, as much as I don't like him, and I don't like the Bucking Jets, and say what you're gonna say, he's an effective quarterback, and fortunately for John and for the Barflies, with losing Peyton Manning and Sanchez as his backup, he's actually stepped up and kept him a viable start.
Now looking at John and the Barflies, he's got Joseph Adai as his starting running back. There's got to be better options out there, including on his own bench. From what I've seen, there's a better running back available because the Colts running game is just not coming together like it normally does.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: if they don't respect the pass, they're gonna adjust for the run. They'll stack the box, so on and so forth. And you've got, short of Reggie Wayne, at what point do they finally just give up Kerry Collins and just put in Pointer, or whatever the hell his name is, or just start grabbing someone out of their stands at that point?
Yeah,
because
throw
I think
a jersey on, some pads, put them out there and see how far they can throw the ball.
So at this point, I mean, and Joseph Adai was never one of those smash mouth, fantasy juggernauts. He's somebody that is a serviceable running back that can catch the ball and give him a couple of yards to where they have to.
You're guaranteed the points.
They may not be high, but you don't have that quarterback in there can make those changes on the line. They can adjust.
All right, looking at one other thing with John, he's got Tony Gonzalez and Greg Olsen.
He picked up Tony Gonzalez. Good pick. I mean, you've got my quarterback.
The Falcons have made a move with him. I mean,
well, here's the thing. Last week, basically, you were going against the Eagles. The Eagles have, the dream team. Okay, they basically shut down both corners in Julio Jones and Roddy White. They eliminate that as a factor. You've got Tony Gonzalez as your red zone threat. I mean, granted, they ran, tree trunks running back in, shoot me a name.
Turner?
Yes. So they ran him. They kind of get away from it a little while, which I think it hurt them. And then they brought him back
fourth
in.
Quarter, it was basically who was running better, LaShawn McCoy or Mike Turner.
Yeah, it was just a back and forth between the two of them. But I think that.
But looking at the way the defense is played, I mean,
Tony G won't see that many touchdowns. He won't see 2 touchdowns in a single game.
So would you start Greg Olsen over him?
It depends on defense.
See, Greg Olsen plays for Chicago, right? Or has he moved?
Well, I'm saying it depends on who they're playing against.
Well, if Chicago's got Green Bay this week.
And
I'm trying to think who the Falcons have. Falcons moved on to... They've already played Tampa Bay, so it's not Tampa Bay. Not sure. But
That's why we needed our homework.
Yep. Homework
that
is
stuff
key.
needs to be on the notes.
Production notes, people. Production notes.
But yeah, it all depends on
And we know Lion, John picked up the Lions basically to piss off Trudy, but it was also one of the better defenses of last year. They averaged about 30 points a game last year, even though they didn't make.
I think it was a huge stretch when he picked him up. I don't think anyone anticipated Cam Newton coming in and doing what he's doing.
Yeah,
which makes the defense look that much better because if you're putting up 400 yards,
Matt Stafford,
passing,
not Cam Newton.
I'm sorry,
Stafford plays for the Lions.
Stafford. Excuse me. So Stafford comes in. Yeah, okay, yeah. Who they play next week? Just
the
saying.
Lions are playing Minnesota next week. I actually wrote it down.
That's the one you wrote down?
Yeah, that's the one I wrote down. Because actually, I was looking at that. You know, you got Green Bay playing Chicago and Lions playing Minnesota, which John has the Lions and Mike has Green Bay. So they're both looking at kind of an offset week. Palmer? No, not Palmer. Who the hell is throwing for fucking Chicago? I don't think Chicago has a quarterback, do they? David Gerard's available. Call for he'll throw it.
I think Peyton Manning's
Throwing for Chicago?
Throwing for Chicago.
Well, what I'm saying is you're looking at two quarterbacks that have issues. Anytime you got a defense that sets up for the blitz but still covers the outside. So what is that? The Eagle 2-3 or 2-5, whatever. Lions are, I see, putting a shit ton of pressure on McNabb. Period. McNabb has already shown that he can't throw under pressure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
McNabb's a nightmare. Right? He's basically a stopgate for any offense at this point. I mean, he's basically yeah.
So with the matchups, Green Bay versus Chicago and Lions versus Minnesota, which defense do you see doing the numbers that's going to benefit
versus Chicago
because
or Lions versus Minnesota? I see Green Bay doing more damage to Chicago than Lions will do to Minnesota. Because here's the deal. You've got Dominican Sue. Yeah, he's a freak, but
a fine freak.
Oh, well, he is. He is. But AP can still run outside. He doesn't need to go through the middle. And that being the case, he'll still get his yards. And he can still catch it out of the backfield. And they can still adjust accordingly. Granted, their quarterback situation, the wide receiver situation, but it's still AP. And I think that so that versus what was it? Green Bay versus Chicago. Yeah, no, I'm giving it to
Green Bay.
No, I'm giving it
to the Lions.
Oh, which defense?
Yeah.
Oh, Green Bay.
Green Bay. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the upcoming. So everybody do your homework. Pay attention. Set your lineup. Be sure to set your lineup because a couple other things. We got players out. Des Bryant is day-to-day. Miles Austin might be out. Felix Jones looks like he's out for the week. And Mike, yes, still have Felix Jones in your lineup. So, and your running back depth didn't look that great. But we'll go over it better next time. This is kind of a hell with it. Let's give it a try. So we're going to try to get this on the line. So come back. Garage Pod's always available. Shoot us emails at Facebook. Shoot us emails at
website.
Yeah, we got.
Anytime you guys want to, just plug in. You can also always on the
CBS Sports Line.
Yeah, on our home site, just actually plug in questions on the polls or email or any of that stuff.
Yeah. National Players Club at Facebook.com, and then catch us on YouTube. Every one of the videos will be posted on YouTube, so be sure to check.
I got some F-bombs coming up off of last week.
F-bomb, nice. We've also got basically our pigskin pick'ems. Yeah. We don't want to use that to piss off any ESPN people.
Yeah. There'll be a big bleep in there for but yeah, no, we'll do our picks for the week.
Picks of the week and F-bombs.
F-bombs.
F-bombs. All right. Stick around.
I'm funky, fresh, equipped with a rusty tech. I'm out of best. Well, I gotta put it bluntly. Yes, you can't touch